Wednesday. Today we're talking about how do I start teaching music lessons? Some tips from somebody who's done it. So let's get into it. But first things first, I just want to introduce myself quick. My name is Andrea Orem. I am a pre-K through 12th grade music teacher for homeschoolers, private lessons. I also teach retired folks how to play ukulele. So I kind of teach the whole age range or the whole spectrum of people, and I love to do it. But today we're going to talk about how to start teaching music lessons. So if you are somebody who maybe teaches public school, but you're like, I need a little supplemental income on the side, or if you're wanting to be a little more I don't want to say drastic, but a little more extreme and leave your public school teaching job to do this or this plus other things, then this is a good place to be watching and a good place to start. All right. So let's get into it. I have a couple tips for you. First of all, when you want to teach music lessons, you need a location. So if you are wanting to teach out of your home, if you have a house or a space that works well for that, you'll need to keep in mind the materials that you need. So you might need books if you're teaching piano. If you're teaching voice, you might need some props or whatever you want to use to teach that specific skill. If you're teaching another instrument, you just need enough space for you and the student to have to be able to play whatever instrument it is. If it's a bigger instrument, you might need a little more space. But if it's a smaller one, then you might be able to negotiate that. Lydia, good morning. Great morning. It's so good to see you connecting in here. If you want to comment, hello. I love to throw you up on the screen when I can. So so we're talking about location. It's best if you can set aside a specific spot in your home. That's better for business expenses. I'm not going to get into all that in this short video, but just keep in mind it's better for business expenses and your business financially if you could set it aside a dedicated space just for the lessons. But if you're not able to, that shouldn't prevent you from teaching the lessons, okay? So step 1, location. Step 2, make sure you have liability insurance. Okay. By the way, if location is somewhere else, you could rent from a church. You could connect with a studio. They would help you with step 3, which is finding students. But it's not going to be as financially profitable for you because the studio will take a cut, likely to pay for their own location space and other things. So keep that in mind. But that's another option if you don't have a location dedicated for that in your house or somewhere else that you can connect. So check that out first, but make sure step 2 is to get business liability insurance. And you're like, insurance, you just lost me, Andrea. Don't worry. You can just go to an insurance agent. It could be the people who have your car insurance, depending on who that is. It could be the people who do your homeowner's insurance, but you can get some very basic business liability insurance. If you're starting out small, you won't need very much, but it just covers your back if something were to happen to the student, like if they were to fall and break their leg on your front sidewalk or something like that. It's not usually something that we anticipate. Then the business insurance can help cover some of that if the parents were to, blame you or come after you or something like that. So just keep that in mind, that business and liability insurance is there to keep you safe. It's there to cover your business's back. All right. You also might want to consider, it doesn't need to happen right away, but consider creating an LLC so that you can keep your personal finances separate from your business finances. I personally didn't do that until after hitting a certain income mark. So that's not necessarily required to start, because if you're going to start small, but it's something to consider. So that's kind of like a sub point in part 2. All right. So we've talked about location. We've talked about some business stuff behind the scenes. We also need to decide how much you're going to charge. Okay. This has a lot to do with where you teach and what state you're in or what location. If you're in an urban area versus a rural area, you'll want to check around where other people are at. If you have advanced degrees, then you can usually charge more. If you don't have degrees, but you have a lot of experience, sometimes you can still charge a very competitive price. If you're just starting out, you might need to start small, and that's okay. But I write in my policies contract that the cost of lessons is for new students, for people coming in, is subject to change whenever I want. And then I commit to changing my studio and increasing everybody's price, usually about every 2 years, and that's just a basic inflation increase. So I'd write that into my policies and contracts so everybody knows up front kind of the expectations. And I do recommend that you write a basic policy or contract type of document so that people kind of know what to expect and how you do things, because everybody does things differently. Okay. So I guess that's kind of a bonus tip, because that wasn't what I was thinking of. But the last tip I have for you. So we've got location, we've got some business and finance stuff figured out. We have a policy contract. The last step is to find students. And this really depends on your area and your own connections, your networking. Because in my area, there's lots of options because it's a very urban, city-based area, right? But depending on when you want to teach, if you don't want to teach evenings, you're going to have a harder time than if you are willing to teach evenings, right? Or weekends or something like that. So it just kind of depends on what your availability is, setting your hours so that you're not teaching all these random times of the week, and being okay with saying no to somebody just because it doesn't fit your schedule. That's okay. You don't have to take everybody who comes to you. But finding students, you can look at the homeschool co-ops, you can ask at a local school. Sometimes they don't allow the actual music teacher at that school to teach those students because of conflict of interest. So it depends on the school and the district. So you could check with that music teacher if you have connections at a different school than you teach at or something like that. You can check at the local library and see if they'll let you put up a poster. You can check there's lots of different options, okay? So just do some networking, do some chatting with people near you and see. Sometimes you can start small and start with just teaching kids that go to your church or something in your neighborhood. I have kids that live in my neighborhood who come to for me to teach lessons. So just kind of depends, right? But that is a good way to start looking for students. And again, starting small is not a bad thing. Once you get some really good testimonials from those students and their families for them to write little blurbs, you can put that on a website, or you can just put those on a flyer, and that can really help you find new students. Here's another last pro tip. I also give a referral bonus. Bonus isn't the right word. I have a referral system for my current students. So the students who recommend my lessons to somebody else that they know can get a free lesson after the new students have had lessons for a certain amount of time. So I can get new students from referrals of students I already have. Those are by word of mouth, and those are always the best. So hopefully you found some helpful tips in here. Oh, I see Lydia has a question. How did you create your basic student contract? Well, I started with thinking about things that I knew I wanted to do, expectations I knew I wanted to have. How often are lessons? What is the cost? I have different packages, so people can pay less per lesson to pay for more lessons, like 10 lessons instead of 4 lessons or something like that. And I also wanted to include a no-show policy. So if somebody doesn't show up to their lessons, then I still get paid, right? But if I didn't write that down, then people might not expect that. And so then it gets confusing, right? So if I write that down and they know it in advance and they have to sign off on this policy or contract in advance, then there's no questions, and I can just refer back to the policy. If there's a question, I'll say, hey, that's in the policy, go check it out. If you have any questions after that, let me know, right? So it just deflects a lot of the questions that I get over and over when people either forget how the policy works or need a reminder, right? Something like that. So it works pretty great. And then I also just looked at other people's I asked another music teacher, hey, do you have a contract or a student policy? Can I just peek at yours and see what I maybe want to include in mine from that? That's really helpful to do as well. So that's kind of how I started with basic contract. And then I just tweaked it as I needed to. I realized, hey, this is a problem if I don't communicate this part clearly. So I need to write something in my contract to communicate that clearly. So hopefully that helps Lydia and anyone else who has that question. But it's getting, I'm over my time. Usually I try to keep these to 10 minutes. So have a great rest of your day. If you have further questions and you're watching the replay, you can let me know. If this was a helpful video to you, you can check out the community that this video is in. Thank you for watching. If you're the new and freelance music teacher community, you're awesome. You can check out the guide section for more videos like this to help you in your journey to teaching music, whether you're new to it or just wanting to move freelance or something like that. And if you're not watching from that group, you can check out the link in the video from wherever you're watching. If you're on YouTube or something like that, you can click the link in this video and go check out the group, see if that's a good place for you. If not, no big deal, but we would love to see you over there. Have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.